shape. Now, in this fireside chat, I'm joined by Roopa Venkat, director at Sapient Wealth Advisors and Brokers, who will outline how you can wipe the slate clean and reset financially after a crisis. Roopa, great to have you with us. Let's start this chat with what is the right way for investors to gauge whether they should adopt a completely new strategy or build a new one after tiding over a crisis. Your thoughts on that? I believe your audio is on mute, Roopa. If you could unmute yourself.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share and on this 75th year of our independence. And I think it's the prime importance saying that all of us may be financially prudent and financially well off. I think the pandemic has put the spotlight on the importance of health and the financial security. I think it's just thrown open the we used to always have that in the mind, but we never used to focus on it or we never gave importance to it. I think it's the time has come where I think the pandemic has taught us to give that importance to see that how we are financially prudent and how we are financially invested so that we come out of this crisis. I think to gauge the strategy for the most important parameters that we need to look at to come out of this crisis is basically we need to look at how much is our risk tolerance, what is the time horizon that we have to do an investment, and what is that amount of principal that we have to invest for our future financial security. I think these are the parameters that we need to uh, put down. I think we have to sit down and budget our income, our expenses, wherever we splurge out our expenses. Maybe we should stop it. The second important thing is about health security. I think as we never gave importance to life insurance or a health insurance. We kept on delaying it and saying that if not today, tomorrow. I think these are the important parameters which are very important that we need to highlight. And it becomes a paramount importance to do it as of yesterday.
Hmm.
And if people can sit across, analyze with the family, with your financial advisors or an insurance consultant, your chartered accountant, I think it's high time that we sit and set our records straight.
All right. You laid out the roadmap, but considering the behavioral aspect of it, choosing the right investment product after a rough period can be a tricky issue for investors. So, how should they navigate that?
So very simply, if you jot down, if you have a roadmap put in saying that what are your short-term goals, what are your long-term goals, what are your very immediate goals, if you budget that, you can clearly plan out because there are so many options available today in the system, which is for basically investing for 1 month, 3 months, 5 months, 3 years, 4 years, wealth creation for 15, 20 years. You have a basket of products which are available today in the financial system, but it is unless and until you don't budget, you won't be able to put that investment into the right baskets. I think once you do that, and if you basket it, I think you will be able to stream through it. Like for example, if somebody has got into a debt because of your credit card expenses and your salaries have been cut, or if you have hospital expenses which have really put stress on your budget, I think if you budget it and say that, how do I plan to overcome it in the next 1 year, 2 years? I think it is easily possible, but somebody has to sit and do that and budget it. And there is nothing which is impossible. It's just that you have to sit prudently, sit with some experts to understand it, who will be able to navigate through that whole journey.
Hmm. Now, when it comes to financial planning, there are, of course, short term goals and long term goals. But the question is, what are the factors that investors should bear in mind if they have to completely realign their financial goals after a crisis where it's all of a sudden, it's not planned, so to say. So, what do you do when that happens?
So the first is to see that do we have contingency money put in, you know? What did the pandemic teach us is saying that have we got kitty of around 6 to 8 months of expenses which we have kept aside, which is called as a contingency money. Now that contingency could be two, to run your household and to also have your medical uh, expenses that you have would incur in the future, which are unexpected. So if you build a contingency fund for yourself, these crises can be averted to a larger extent. So the first thing to see that, have I put aside a 6 months of my household expenses separately and some money for my medical contingencies? If you put that aside, I think a lot of your problems would get sorted and the stress on yourself will reduce.
All right, but that's in cases where liquidity is available. In cases where there may be a high debt burden, say due to a crisis, what are the ways to restart saving and investing instead of, say, delaying it until the debt load is clear?
So the first and foremost which comes is into saying that if you've lost your job, then it's very difficult for you to build in a plan and say that what is the next thing till the time you have an income which really comes in. Once your income starts building in, I think the first thing is to take out and pay off your debt because you're paying a very high interest. And once you are able to pay out your interest, the second important thing that you will have to do is to set your contingency fund. Obviously, this is going to take around maybe a year and a half to set all of this into place, but the journey has to start today. So the first and foremost has to be pay off your debt, spend less, and see that how much you can save off and pay more, because most of us get into debt is because we just spend beyond our incomes. And if we are spending beyond our incomes, that's where the cash flow becomes tight. In situations where you lose a job, your salary cuts happen, I think that's where discipline needs to be put in from the first place, that you live within your means, don't spend beyond your means.
Absolutely. Discipline and diligence, those are the two key
And
words.
one more important thing is there is a difference between saving and investing. Correct? People save, but they don't invest prudently.
That's very important. Don't just keep saving, invest it as well. So let's bring it all together as we wrap up the conversation. How to prioritize different financial objectives after the crisis. For instance, reviving liquidity, paying off EMIs, or resetting an emergency fund, or restarting investment for goals with varying time horizons. If you can just lay out the priorities in an easy to understand manner as we wrap up the conversation.
Sure. So the basic important, first important thing is saying that analyze what's your income is. Put down all your points of your expenses. What is that you need after your household expenses, your immediate expenses? What is that you will need after 6 months, 5 months, or after a month, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever is your plan that you want to do. Once you lay that out, sit with somebody and understand, saying that what is your risk tolerance, what is your time horizon, what's the amount of money that you have to put in. You might have to stretch yourself and spend less and put that. But the first and foremost is sit with a financial consultant, sit with your insurance consultant, sit with your chartered accountant to understand and put a roadmap to help you to overcome all this uh, crisis that we have gone through. Second important, very very important thing is saying that we need to pull, we have to do it as on yesterday. Don't prolong it and say that I'll do it after 6 months or 1 month. Today is the time that you will have to do that, to restructure, because it is like thinking of restructuring of your financial life, just like your financial health is concerned. One important thing is saying that which most of the people ignore is, even today people push forward insurances like life insurance or a health insurance. I think these are very paramount important that you need to look at. Think of it as a restructuring of your financial life.